Hey everyone, JT Goose here, and today I'm going over the third season of TCCG series, Death City. Compared to the other seasons like Secrets of Maxwell and United States Most Wanted, in my opinion, this is definitely a step up in terms of the consistency of the cases, the victim deaths, the killer choices, and really as well as the overall plot, as we're finally introduced to somewhat of an antagonist group for the first time. They are referred to as the Coral Corruptors, and although the name is pretty weak and pretty laughable, you know what? An antagonist group is an antagonist group. I haven't seen anything like this at all, and it's cool to see not just one or two members, but to just see multiple people, as well as a team leader for this antagonist group as well. That being said, although there were some really cool things to this season, I still think it is flawed. For one, I would say there's this really big issue that TCCG constantly faces throughout really just all of the cases throughout the season. We have this issue where some people's heads are either 6 inches in diameter or over a foot and a half. This really just kind of makes the suspects feel less real towards the viewer. Another issue I had was I noticed more of this copy and paste type stuff again. It wasn't nearly as bad this season, but still you can kind of notice a few resemblances as shown right here. And then we have this one case where it seems like TCCG tries really hard to focus on not only the facial structure, but also trying to add really just as much detail and focus to the faces as possible. I think this is a really cool idea. I like that he's trying to go from a different approach and trying to add more detail to these characters. The problem is that this does add some inconsistency, considering that every other case is not like this. There's also some characters which I think are a little creepy this season, like this guy. Though he does remind me of someone, but I really just can't figure out who. Also, then I have this other thing too, where halfway through the season, the background picture changes from what looks like kind of a whitish background to a blue. I'm not sure why. I don't really consider this that much of an issue. It could just be that the background looks uglier. I do think the redesign of it is better, but still, it's kind of weird to fix halfway through, a bit inconsistent. It is hard to explain to people why this season is consistent. I know I did just explain to you guys why I thought it was inconsistent in some ways, but when you compare it to season 2, Secrets of Maxwell, the problem about that last season that I reviewed was that it was just all over the place. You constantly had cases that were back and forth. You have a cool case, terrible case, weird case. It was just all over the place, but this feels more organized. In my opinion, the first half of this season is super weak. I think it's very boring, it's super easy to click through, and there's just not really much that you're getting out of it. However, I feel like the second season of this is much more stronger as we're introduced to this antagonist group, and it just, the murder choices, the victim choices, and I even think some of the murder weapons as well are just much better. I also do want to give a quick shout out to case 10, especially the fourth trait. I think it's pretty cool. No, I'm not the murderer, guys. I promise. I'm not wearing a tie. I just thought it was pretty cool. Oh, jeez. With that being said, I'm going to go over some highlights in terms of the suspects that I thought were really good this season. We had Jonathan Hudson, Chris Advice, Elizabeth Sanders, Benedict Abraham, Ken Patrick, Seth Whittaker, Stephen Bradbury, and Joe Timberlake. As far as the Golden Chainsaw goes, I'm going to have to give it to case 11, which features a guy getting mauled to death by a lion. I don't know how the heck the killer got access to a lion, but yeah, that probably don't sound no good. As far as the dull machete, I'm going to have to give it to the case before that, case 10. I'm just not a big fan of gun kills. I think it's a little too basic. That being said, Death City, definitely a step up compared to Secrets of Maxwell and United States Most Wanted. I think the killer choices are a little bit better. I think the victim choices are a little bit better, especially the second half of the season, as well as adding this whole entire new antagonist group, which in my opinion adds, I mean, I know there's no plot writing, but I feel like it still adds plot to the story by showing the viewers that, okay, there's a bunch of enemies. Oh geez, I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool thing to add there. Death City, I'm feeling a strong 2 to a light 3 on this one. It has improved. This is way better than Secrets of Maxwell. Although it has a really strong finish, the beginning is super weak and it really does knock it down a lot. If the beginning had a strong start and a strong ending, I probably would have landed this somewhere around a 4 or possibly a low 5. But unfortunately, I really feel like the beginning was super boring and I just saw myself clicking through trying to get to the end of the season. Death City, better.